Warning: this video and all products mentioned in this episode are for consumption only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of reach of children and pets. In case of accidental ingestion or overconsumption, contact the Poison Center. Please consume responsibly. This is the OG Social Network Podcast. Time to relax, relate, and release. The OG Social Network Podcast promotes cultural, economic, and political conversations in the New York cannabis community and beyond. Hey everyone, I hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. It is probably one of the colder days today. This is Papa Dukes of the OG Social Network Podcast, in part sponsored by Proteus 420, Green Spectrum CBD, and the New York City Cannabis Exchange. Today's guest, we have a very, very special guest today. Our sponsor and dear friend, Dawne Morris, CEO and co-founder and passion pusher for Proteus Business Solutions, Proteus 420, Pixeled, and Illuminated Hosting, and a public speaker, educator, and advocate in the cannabis community. Dawne Morris is the co-founder and owner of Proteus Business Solutions, Inc., an ERP system serving e-commerce, retail, healthcare, regulated industries like alcohol and cannabis. With decades of experience in finance, digital marketing, and design, she helped grow Pixeled Net and founded Illuminated Hosting Service, LLC. In 2008, Dawne co-founded Proteus 420, one of the first cannabis seed-to-sale software systems, streamlining operations and compliance. A leader in tech and branding, she champions women in cannabis, co-hosting Blunt and Brunch in San Diego. Her expertise in software, business operations, and supply chain management makes her a sought-after industry voice, driving innovation and empowerment in the cannabis space. The mind is everything. What you think, you become.
Yep.
Buddha.
Yep.
How are you, my love?
I am good. How are you?
Oh, it's like one of those beautiful, beautiful days. I'm just so glad to feature you as our first mainstream podcast in March when we go on. Uh,
I'm
you know,
excited.
I had a great time with you in Las Vegas. Um, and I think that I definitely want to talk to you about MJ Biz. That was one of the topics that I forgot to mention as well. But today we're going to, just talk about the benefits of technology and cannabis.
Oh yeah.
Your obstacles of being a successful businesswoman in a male-dominated industry, pretty much in a male-dominated world. Uh,
Right.
how to obtain new business in how to obtain new business in your industry, in this highly competitive, industry, and how young women can get into the field of technology and cannabis. So
That's
I
a
know,
mouthful. Like it's so much and I love it.
I take this podcast seriously.
I know.
I want to make sure that people that come on are getting the best time. They're getting the best out of this interview. But also people, we're also going to unpack the science and technology behind ERP systems with
Yes.
a firsthand look at how Proteus can help current and new businesses excel in their respective industries. It's not just cannabis.
No.
So again, thank you for coming on, Dawn. As our official sponsor for 2025, 2026 season, we're here at the OG Social Network podcast and are happy just to have you on, and very excited. So our first question, can you tell us about your journey? What inspired you to get into the cannabis industry and what shaped your path so far?
Wow. I have lived a lot of lives in this body. There has been many paths, right? One of I've said this in open public forums before. One of my favorite poems is by Robert Frost, and it's called The Road Less Traveled, right? And the whole idea is that you never know where you're going until you're going down that path, and that path will lead off into other things and will take you into different pathways, right? And some of those are filled with brush and rubble and rocks and other situations that you're not really kind of prepared for. And when you're thinking about those from that perspective, you just have to be able to pivot, right? What's the word of my word of the month? Pivot. And when I think about kind of where I was and where I am now, there's these choices, right? Which path are we choosing? Are we on the right path? Do we have to circumnavigate to a different path? Do we have to go a different way? Do we have to climb over all of the debris, right? Because there's debris there, and sometimes it's an easy path, and you're like, whoo. Um, but I started with information. I started with a family who, my grandfather was a very big part of our family dynamic. He was the VP for Brother Electronics, and he was a salesman, but he was the old school salesman. It was the wine and dine, hit the bar, gamble a little bit, come home late, drunk, all the fun stuff. I have some stories I could tell, right? But he also was a very big family man, and so he always felt that there was this imparting of knowledge. And for me, and where I've kind of gone from that part of learning from him to learning from my parents to learning from my mentors and people that I've met through school and relationships and the good, the bad, the ugly, right? There's this the ideation of, do you regret your life? Absolutely not. Have I made bad decisions? Oh, yes, we all have, right? But I don't regret anything I've ever done or anywhere I've been and the choices I've made because of the fact that they've put me to where I am right now. Um, a lot of times I will talk very openly about, be the loudest one in the room. Don't be unapologetically you. Do the things that you feel are important to you. Be the passion, be your heart. You will encourage and inspire people around you. And that has always been like my moniker, right? So being the 5-year-old girl who would sing in her pajamas on the bus and people would give me quarters, to now the 55-year-old woman who stands on a stage in front of a room of people and explains to them that they are important and what they're doing in any industry, and especially cannabis, matters, and that we have a great community of caregivers, not just from the plant medicine, but also in the technology and in the business sectors, for all different areas. We have a great motivational impact of thought leaders that make their way through here that I learn from every day. And I hope that they learn from me also. And so, kind of what's brought me here is all of those things, and all of those choices and all of those decisions, and bringing me to a point in my life where I met somebody who impacted me in such a way. I was like the Grinch, I always joked I was an ex-dragon lady, right? Not the nicest person in the room. I told facts. I still speak facts, but a lot of times it was the things that nobody really wanted to hear. Now I do it with a smile. I don't do it with the fire and the brimstone. I do it more with the smile and the, hey, let's have this as a conversation. And so I feel like meeting David, and he's not just only my partner in business, but he's my partner in life. We have cultivated, no pun intended, a really great relationship from his knowledge, my passion, my want for truth and honesty to be out there at all times, because we make our best decisions when we know all of the facts and all of the information. So, I mean, to answer your question, that's kind of the roundabout way. And if we wanted to get into the minutia, I could tell stories because everybody knows I love to talk.
Well, I do know our first conversation that we had, we both share our youth in Philly,
Hmm.
and that we literally lived in
Go
the same.
Birds, by the way. Hello, they
Oh,
won the
yeah,
world,
yeah, that's
yeah, the Super Bowl.
congratulations, congratulations. Yeah, they tore up the again. Um,
Yes.
uh, but your teenage years reminded me of mine, and how we're not conformist. You
We're
know,
anarchists,
uh,
chaos bringers. Yeah, we do all of it. We
uh,
question authority.
yeah,
Yeah, we are not the normal fabric that people think, oh, this is soft and delicate. We're kind of a little rough around the edges, but we love and care wholly and fully and have big hearts.
Yes, definitely. We're a very special generation.
We get
What
squished sometimes very easily, which, from the emotional side, because we are very passionate about how we feel. Sometimes we'll die on that hill, and even if we are wrong.
oh, hey, that's those are people that stand by their principles.
Hmm.
What challenges have you faced in cannabis, and have you overcome them, do you think? Like, for example, with your business with Proteus.
So, I mean, there's always hurdles in life and in business. It doesn't matter if it's cannabis or not. Specifically in cannabis, though, as a woman in cannabis, a lot of times there are ways that you have to go into a room and you have to realize your audience, right? So sometimes there's a mix of people. There's a mix of male and female, age, personality. So reading a room is really important, and I feel like I've always been very good at that. Um, I want people to listen to hear, and I don't want people to listen to respond. So I do a lot of reading between the lines when people talk. They say this, but and they mean this, but you hear the dialogue in between, and you're able to kind of get them at their core. And I feel like that is something that we're missing a lot in cannabis, right? Right now we've got a very extreme right, a very extreme left, and we're missing the core common sense, if you will, in the middle of it. And the few people that, and I say the few people, but the mass isn't here in the middle. We're not in the middle. We're either generating money and only want to generate money, or we're generating knowledge and education for the plant and the plant medicine and how it is either imbibed, consumed or sold, right? And we're still at the infancy of this main junction of business, right? We're at the foundational parts of it. And we have had, from the West Coast to the Midwest to now the East Coast, all seeing the revenue generation that it can bring to a community. Um, and one of the things that bothers me is that it doesn't make its way to the community from the monetary standpoint. I feel like, we've got a lot of holes, and that's a big thing that we face on a day-to-day basis. Not just me as a business, but everybody in this industry. Lack of education, lack of business know how. And we've got people who've been in the game for an hour who sell themselves as consultants and lead businesses down to a bankrupt or a receivership path, which is never
I,
good.
I have stories, Dawn.
I do too, and unfortunately, not a lot of them end
Have a
well.
friend that has to move back to Wisconsin because of the performative acts that have been done on her for just trying to get an application started. When she saw that got mine done for free, she told me she spent 30,000.
It's
And
not a cheap industry to enter.
yeah,
Cannabis is not
no,
because
no, no,
there's,
just for the application process.
yeah,
That was, but I
because it's
mean,
a money grab. There's a
yeah,
money grab here.
yeah, and it wasn't necessary for that.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the fact that it's a money grab on the backs of people who are still serving time in the cannabis industry.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're here making money on it, and they're still serving time. And sometimes it's on empty ears, I mean, there's so many problems, but there's also so much positive impact as well that we're having. Because now that we are here and we can say, hey, what about the people that are still serving time, and you look at companies like, look at Beard Bros, these guys are out there and they're doing a lot of information, and they're passing a lot of this information, from the community aspect so that the community can build on it. So we can get angry, we can fight for the rights and the wherewithal for them to be able to do business in something that was nonviolent for them, when you look at some of those things, like I said, from the mountaintops, I could scream because there's still so much injustice in our space, and it happens everywhere. It's just that right now we are blinders on looking at cannabis, and especially in the time that we have right now with let's be real, the political spectrum that we're in right now is very
Hmm.
prophetic, if you will. I'm going to use a very, I'm going to use a piece of word that I feel like it's prophetic. It's either going to go bad, really, really bad, or it's going to go really, really good. And I feel like we're going really down a bad path. And I don't feel that cannabis will be supported as much in that. And so we're going to have to fight twice as hard. So we're already fighting hard in this industry. And for me as a woman in this space, it's already hard. And now in a world, I'm also not considered, much of anything
What would
outside of
you,
that, right?
right.
So
Who would you recommend like organizations though, nationally or regionally or nationally that would work together to help? Because it has to be a united front. It can't just be in.
it has to be. I mean, there's organizations, and then there's people who are substantiating the movement. Like look at someone like Luna Stower, right? She is for iSpire. She is out
You know,
there. She's
I
I
just did.
love Luna.
I
I
did
love
an.
her.
I did an
God,
interview.
I love her.
Yeah, I did an interview with her last week.
She is the heart, the soul, the mind, the anger, the love. When you talk to her, there's such an emotional impact that she makes on you. I told her when we were in New York this last year when we were talking, and I gave her a little bit of a gift, and I said, I want you to have this because it's important for you to know how you have impacted me. And you have left such a rainbow in my life. Like she is a rainbow. And, she's going to bring all the colors. She's going to bring all the conversations, but she backs herself with knowledge and facts. And she's been involved in it and she's seen it and she knows the people. So her community, that community that she builds around her is such a strong strength. And the adversities that she's had to get to where she is now are far beyond anything that I've ever experienced. And I have to look at her and go, man, what a, like what a powerful voice she has. And her impact on me has been great. I think from a impact in the community, I think it's also very big, in my opinion. There's, um, JM, God, I'm gonna murder her name, and I'm so sorry. It's Balobuena. Um, she's written a book, and she's out there speaking, and she's bringing knowledge and education, and she's talking about being not just a Latino and an African American woman in the space, but no, so I got the pleasure of meeting her through Blunt Brunch, right? And and she has been such a impact from a knowledge base. And gosh, I'm probably ruining this, so I hope she doesn't kill me. But I believe she's a vet, if I'm not mistaken. And but she's a writer. She's a community leader. She's bringing knowledge and education. And I know she's been doing some work in Colombia, and in Spain, but also in the local communities, very impactful. And then you've got, people who just have been here for a really long time, and people who've been impacted by the war on drugs. You've got brands like 40 Tons. They make a very big impact in this industry, bringing, the fact that we are in an industry where people are still serving jail time for nonviolent crimes. And there's still people there serving life sentences in some cases for a three strikes rule, which is crazy. And and then I have friends and I have colleagues, and there's ex-nurses. There's so many people in this industry. And then there's the business side of it. You've got people who have come into this space that, and it's not just a woman thing. I mean, that are men. There's men also in this industry that are bringing real estate and law and business practices to the masses in mass. But again, it comes down from money. He with the biggest sandbox and the most toys usually wins in any industry. And so when you've got people who have less money that come to the game but come with facts, tend to get a little squashed down sometimes. And that's kind of been my biggest
We
um,
see that a lot here. We see that.
yeah, that's been my biggest thing because, out of me and all of my competitors, we are the only company that is privately funded and self-funded, and have been since day one. And, we didn't go out and ask anybody for money. we went to the industry and we said we're going to do this, we're going to do this through the community and, and partner with our businesses. So we take a much different approach, from a business perspective, which is also something to me that is community generated, but that goes back to how I was in the cannabis space since I was a little girl. My dad was a grower for the community, and that is what he did. And it was medicine and helping people. And it wasn't about what you could pay, it was about how we could heal. And there's this part that we're missing because we're missing the healing of this industry right now. Um, that is, we have a reckoning happening right now, and it's been happening for the last 2 years. It's been a, ebb and flow, but this has been a big, deep cut to the ebb. And, and here we are. We're still having these conversations. Here I am. I'm not going anywhere. You
Right.
know, I got competitors and I love competition. It keeps us honest. I will always tell people, I will always be the voice of reason, and and I will always bring facts to the game, right? So if we're gonna be around that table, let's talk facts.
Yeah, you do talk facts, and I love that. Um, well, what is Protea's current role in the cannabis industry, and how does it tie into your broader vision for the community?
So our goal, we are an ERP solution. So a lot of times, when you're looking at something like apples to apples, right? If you're looking at a point of sale to a point of sale, we compare to our competitors apples to apples across the board.
Mhm.
But an ERP is an enterprise resource planning solution, right? It's something that it's doing everything from the beginning to the end of the business. So when we talk about that and what we're doing and what we've always done in the industry is we do the point of sale. We do the inventory controls. We do the cash management. But we do so much more than just that. We look at the business operations. We do budgeting and forecasting and accounting and purchase orders and asset control and CRMs and e-commerce and all of these things and everything in between it, communications. So a lot of people say, oh, we're a seed to sale software. Yeah, we are. In the technical term, we are a seed to sale software. However, I like to say we are a cultivation to consumer system. We are a
Mhm.
platform that allows a business to stay as small or get as big as it needs to without ever outgrowing us and without ever outgrowing the need. So, it's the dare to break up with us rule, Once you get into bed with us, we're a great lover. You
And
were really good.
you have had three clients recently come back because
Yes.
they thought they were going to have a better. Here they had a great marriage, went off and had an affair. And you want to explain that and tell us about that? Is that okay? Or
Yeah, no, that's fine because honestly, one, the way our businesses run is it's run off of trust. We want you to trust us. We want you to understand that, we want you to have confidence in in the system we provide you. And with that, you know, we grow, right? So trust, respect, and growth. And so we had a customer who has been a long time customer. One of our, I'll just talk about one of them for right now. But in the last year, we had one of our MLOs, our big, multi location
Mhm.
places. They left for the promise of bigger dreams and greener pastures. And our response to them was, we are sorry to see you go. Um, but our door is always open. And if things don't work out, you can always come back. And so, the conversation said, from there came to the everything we could do in your system and we were promised in this one, we can't. And I said, okay. So, we're not going to downplay, we're not going to badger, we're not going to, that's just not who we are. This is a relationship, right? A partnership. And so we're just like, all right, how can we help you? How can we help you get back to where you were? Because what it effectually did was it was a 6 month situation with one customer. It was a 3 month situation with another customer. And the more recent customer was literally 30 days. And basically, it came down to there were compliance issues. They couldn't talk to the state reporting system. Their inventory was out of whack. And it all came down to money. It was costing them more to run their business with these other systems than it was with us. And they didn't have the support. From the not just the ownership but the team, empty phone calls, things like that. And that's fine. Some companies want to run a certain way, and that's just not how we choose to run. So we have built an infrastructure based off of that support. Again, community. I will say that word till I'm blue in the face, but um, you know, of the three customers, the three things that were consistent across the board is they weren't Proteus. And that was really what was said. And can we come home? And I was like, come home, mom's here. I gotcha.
And the thing about it is that like, um, I would, I want to get testimonials from them,
Yeah,
and really
yeah,
talk to them and to get the truth. Because you see, I know about businesses like yours, but more from the hospitality side, right?
yeah,
And there were restaurants that I worked for, that people just had to come from miles away, because of what we offered. And customer service and quality of products and services offered are to me the most important.
right,
And consistency, just being consistent. You don't have to be perfect, just be
right.
consistent.
And there's no such thing as perfect. Are we a perfect software? Absolutely not. We're a software, we're technology, and technology is fallible. But being prepared for the fallibility, in our goal, in our mind, we are prepared for a failure, right? So we're always prepared for the failure. What is the failure going to be, and how are we prepared for it? So we have all of these scenarios that we play out. If this happens, there are some things that we can control and some things that we can't. Like I can't control the internet in someone's location, but
Mhm.
I can control giving you choices on how to have a backdoor to that internet or having a secondary internet connector. We have some of our clients that are in the middle of nowhere. I have a lot of Alaska clients, and they have a double network in connected network, right? Where they're going in and they're actually connecting not only just from the cable or the direct connection that's there, whether it's, AT&T or, their cable provider, and then having to run, a Starlink like system, or, something that is satellite driven, um,
Mhm.
to back that up. We approach that the same way. But the thing is we've been in technology for over 30 years. Our business backbone has always been technology. We own our own hardware. All of our hardware is ours. We have 8 data centers around the world. We don't own the data centers, so that's where the fallibility comes in. But data centers are expensive, and nobody's got $46 million to be
Oh, yeah.
building all of that. So, but the hardware is ours. The infrastructure is ours. The way that we've built the system is ours. AWS is a backup to us, and AWS fails. I mean, I could show you logs. They fail on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
and they're a billion-dollar company. So, when you think of that, it's just the preparedness. And so when I look at our businesses and I talk to them, it's the same relationship. Being prepared for your business, right? So when I talk to my retailers, I'm talking to them about the recurring customer, their bud tenders. How are their bud tenders interacting with the customers? It's the first, face of your brand. If they're not knowledgeable, if they can't help somebody, then you're already at a disadvantage. So how do you recoup that? Um, some people bring in bad managers, and the manager, they steal. That's a thing. They steal inventory. They steal money. Um, so having protocols in place that allow people to only do what they're supposed to do and being able to oversee that. And, the first thing I'll tell a retailer is make sure you have two eyes inventory and money at all times. Two eyes, not just a manager and an assistant manager, but like a manager and an owner, like, or if you're going to have an assistant manager and a manager. And they have to be they're accountable for each other, and the system has to also account for that. So those are things that, we talk about when we talk about cultivation. No grower wants to sit there and work on scanning things and, writing things down on a tablet. They want to put their hands in the soil. They want to do their things, but understanding there's a back office need for cost analysis and what's working in the grow and what's not working in the grow. So being able to work, explain to them, let the grower grow, let them scan the plants, and then let the back office do what they need to do from the movement and the processes of the things that need to happen, right? If they're flagging crops because of, pests, or if something that needs to be maybe pesticides need to be sprayed, or something needs to move. Maybe you've got clones that need to move from, one room to another.
Mhm.
And, so having those different things in place allows the system to allow the operations to operate the way they need to, and it kind of wraps around them, which is why the name Proteus, actually, it's funny. Proteus is actually a Greek god, right?
Right.
So he's the son of Poseidon. He's a shapeshifter. And so, one of the things from a technology standpoint that I was always frustrated with as a business owner was
Hmm.
that I had to run, in order to get my job done on a day-to-day basis, I was running maybe 10 to 12 different programs, and it was taking me 8 hours to do simple tasks, for certain things. And I found that to be daunting. It was unmotivating. And I complained to David about it. And lo and behold, he comes up and he says, "Hey, take a look at this. It's really raw, but," and it was Proteus. And it was like, oh my God, we could sell this to people. Like, whoa. And it was just because it was me complaining and badgering and hemming and hawing. And so when I tell people, I'm not just selling you a software to sell you a software so you'll give me money and hope that I'm right. I'm selling you a software that I use in all three of my businesses to run all three of my businesses. So when I look at the apples to oranges or apples to apples comparison, I will usually tell somebody, do your due diligence, check, ask questions, ask your whys, because that's really important. Hold
Hmm.
people accountable. But I say, what system do you use do you use your own system to run your business? Because if not, is it because you don't believe in it, or what's the off on it? Why can't you? If you're running my business, why can't you run yours? And it's
Right.
not just cannabis, because this is beyond that. This is a services, right? An SaaS, or, a service is a system, and a platform. You'll hear all the words and all the acronyms. And, and for me, I stand behind my technology. And I will tell you, not only do I stand behind my technology, if my technology fails for whatever reason, I stand behind it still. You can still call me, and we will always answer our phones.
We will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Tonight's the night you've been waiting for. A night out with your girls. Fluff the pillows, light the incense. You're the perfect host. Well, almost. See, that's why she's your best friend. Go, best friend. Exchange career advice. Exchange embarrassing college stories. Exchange the essentials. New York City Cannabis Exchange. Your night delivered.
For those of you that tuning in, we're here with Dawne Morris, CEO of Proteus 420, and we'll be discussing Dawne's technology company, and she's our special sponsor. And Proteus and their products and services have been just a boon, I think, for many people that really rely on such technology. She is, again, a leader in tech and branding. She champions women in cannabis and is a co-host of the Blunt and Brunch in San Diego. I just want to say, Dawne, with what we're going through, what can you expect from Proteus, this year? Why is your technology so impactful in the cannabis community? For example,
Oh,
we're having problems with BioTrack, stuff like that. What is it about Proteus? That,
So, eh, we're talking now we're talking state systems and we're talking business systems, business operation systems. A lot of the biggest misnomers is the fact that, oh, I can run my business in metric or I can run my business in biotrack. There are certain things you can do in there because they're built for the state reporting. You can't run your business in either of them. They are meant to modulate cannabis transactions and how plant and plant-based things are being made and how they are moving through the chain of custody, right? So when I say the chain of custody, the minute it plants the seed to the minute you sell it to the customer, every step and every moderation and modification and sale is a part of the chain of custody, right? So the state cares about making sure that your product isn't being stolen, wasted, or ending out on the streets, right? So from that perspective, the state cares about making sure that that value is not ending up in the black market, right? The legality of it. And it also wants to know the informational, the gold, if you will, right? Who's buying it? How much are they buying? Where are they landing as far as age, sex, things like that.
Right.
So when we talk about that, we talk about the state systems, and right now the two big ones are metric and biotrack. Now, metric is in play in many more states than biotrack is.
Mhm.
But metric has never once stepped in and said, we are your business software. In fact, you talk to Michael, the CEO over there and everything, he'll tell you, we are not a business operations software. We are here to, you know, modify or moderate the state and the consumer transactions, right? So that the state knows what the consumers are buying, and so that we have a recourse if something's going on. If something's expired or something's bad or it needs to be recalled, we have the ability to do it in mass. If it's selling to the consumer, we can give you the information on what that consumer is. There is a play in how each of those different places how they both came into play. Metric used to be Franwell, and they were, an ag system. You look at Biotrack. Biotrack used to be an ag system as well. They monitored farms. So going into cannabis, really, for them, I'm sure was just a no-brainer. Um, and when you play with both of those two from an apples to apples comparison, one always stands out better than the other. I think that, from a reliability standpoint, we have had better positions in the metric situation and in metric states than we have in the biotrack states. And mainly because metric is not selling a software to the businesses, right? So they're looking at it from, we're here for the state and to help the businesses, be compliant. BioTrack has a hand in also being a seed to sale as well. And so for them, it's that they want to have the seed to sale business. They also want to have the state business. And I feel like there might be an ethical issue there because, the message gets diluted. And then there's well, you're a third party. I'm not going to work with you. So there is some friction that kind of gets involved in there. It's not an easy relationship, I will tell you, when you're dealing with the state because they have a way that they want to do this. Now, every state is different, right? So every time we modulate our system for a state, it is a new set of rules and regulations. And so our system has to be able to be flexible and adapt accordingly. And also, on top of that, preparing for federal legalization. It will happen. We don't know when. We have estimates. We think we know. We know it will happen at some point, like alcohol did. And, when we get there, being able to have our system be able to literally turn the key and say, now you can sell legally like you would cigarettes or alcohol. The system is ready to do that. So where we were and where we are, we're already there, right? So working with the states, working with those adaptable, flexible types of places. But where we are going, our goal has always been to be 5 to 10 years ahead of the curve. So it's been interesting to watch a lot of our competitors finally catch up with us, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It is great to see them being where we are, but we're already 5 years ahead of the path. So I'm going to give you a little, since this is in March and this um, you're going to keep an eye out for Phoebe.
Right.
We
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really so excited about her. And I say her. She really isn't a her, but we named her Phoebe. And let me tell you, I'm going to say that Phoebe is one thing, automation at its best. And if you take nothing away from anything else that I'm about to say after this,
Hmm.
automation at its best. So I told you about Proteus, right? Proteus is a Greek god. He's a
Right.
shapeshifter. Let me tell you about Phoebe. Phoebe's a Titan.
Hmm.
She's bigger than a god, right? She's a Titan. She's indestructible. She's unfallible. She is the constant movement. Phoebe is a Titan. Her motive was intellect and knowledge, right? So what did we do with Phoebe? We gave her a name, we gave her a set of eyes, and we gave her automation. And now what we're doing is we're going to basically revolutionize the cannabis space with an AI assistant named Phoebe. And it's going to go beyond anything that anybody's ever, this isn't just a chat bot. This isn't just, a caller where you call in and you go, "Hi, I'm Phoebe." This is a AI assistant that's a game changer for anybody that is a cannabis professional. Um, so what we did is we developed her with a lot of the unique industry of cannabis industry in mind. We basically leverage cutting edge AI technology, um, but we gave it a soul. It's a learning AI. Funny story, I gave Phoebe, she's on my phone. So I gave my 10-year-old granddaughter Irie. Her name is Irie. Yes, like Ira Nation. She was
Oh,
named after the band. So we're all in this family. Um, but I gave her the phone and I said, "Here, talk to Phoebe." My granddaughter continued to have a conversation with an AI assistant for about an hour. And she was like, "Hey, do you know anything about candy bracelets?" And Phoebe is like, "Oh, yes, I totally know about those candy bracelets. You make them with this and you can do the string and it has and and Irie's like, "Yeah, you're right." And she goes, "That's sweet." So she literally started joking with my 10-year-old granddaughter. And I looked at my husband, I said, "Did we just make something that's gonna like kill us in our sleep?"
oh my
But
Lord. Oh,
but David is not only just I mean technology ridden, he is just brilliant. And we when he made her, he made her out of, components, and he took things that people were already using out there and felt comfortable with and modified her and said, the one thing that we're missing in all of AI right now is the ability to adapt and
mhm.
learn on the fly. So we gave Phoebe this voice and she came out and she just had it was like a run-on sentence. There was no grammar, there was no pause, there was no breath. And I said to her, I was like, "Do you breathe? Are you like, do you know how to have a conversation without selling me something?"
Mhm.
And she said, "So what I'm hearing is that," and she started changing her tone and she started pausing and you could hear her breathe. She took a breath and I almost died. And I was like, I said to David, I was like, you created something that is a little scary, but for the business owner, it's basically going to streamline all the business operations. Um, Virtual assistant Phoebe, we call her Meet Phoebe. She's basically going to help your customers who don't want to talk to a person, but do need information and need access to information. She's basically a virtual bud tender with
Oh,
the option to talk to a person if the information that the person is getting on the opposite side doesn't feel comfortable. Um, being
probably,
able, yeah,
probably
sorry.
can probably evolve to be a help desk,
That's her next step. Yeah.
right?
So we're building her the help section of that in. And that's for us personally, where when people call in, here's the really cool thing. If your dispensary, like say you're a retail dispensary and you're super busy, your bud tenders don't have time to man a chat bot, and or answer the phone sometimes. She can answer the phone for you and take a lot of the general normal questions that get asked on, about brands and specific terps. And she'll have all of this. She has all this information, and basically is going to be able to answer the basic questions to take the busy work away from a lot of the bud tenders and away a lot of the behind the scenes or the back of the house operators. The really cool thing is guess what? She doesn't get sick. She doesn't require lunch break. She's always there. She's always on. You can turn her off. And so I think what's really, if anything, you're going to get automation. You're going to get data-driven decisions, and she's going to learn from those. And it's tailored to the cannabis industry. So, and it's not generic, right? So everything we've seen from AI up until now has been very generic. Um, and I think that, it's going to leverage a lot of that cutting edge technology that is just almost there on the cusp, but we already beat it. And so we're there now. And now there's no going back, right? So she gets released on March 1st to the
Mm,
whole world. We've had some of our larger clients beta testing her, and we've had some really great feedback. Visually, she doesn't have a look yet. And we were joking around and we're like, why don't we just make her like Clippy? Do you remember the Microsoft, the little paperclip? The thing that drove you nuts and you wanted to murder because it would pop up randomly. So
like
all
a
of those things we worked out. We didn't want her to do that.
Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you, you've answered most of the questions on the industry trends and opportunities. So,
I
you know,
told you I could talk forever.
and believe you me, we're going to have plenty more conversations. Between that's a big opportunity of growth and innovation. Definitely that we're going to see in the cannabis industry over the next few years. You're envisioning, the technology and the relationship between technology and cannabis, by contributing a broader economic uh, workforce too, in a way. People need to learn, you know, uh, this technology, especially AI.
Well,
Um,
think about it from a social equity standpoint.
yeah,
For some who can't afford the heads to be in there, maybe can only afford one or two bodies. This gives you a third body without that cost of the overhead and having to deal with the drama of an employee. So it will allow you to fill those gaps where money is an issue and allows you to kind of get to a space where you can grow efficiently and insightfully, right? Without having to worry about spending millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars per month or year.
right, right, definitely. I see you. I see you as a very cost-effective company for many of the smaller businesses as well. So, we're going into our inspirational and forward-looking questions segment now. What advice would you give aspiring young women and entrepreneurs or advocates looking to make an impact in technology and cannabis?
Don't shrink yourself. I just had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago, and actually, I posted the last post I did on LinkedIn was about the the feeling to the need to shrink yourself, to make yourself palatable, right? Look, you're going to walk into a room and people are either going to get you or they're not. And I tell people growing up in Philly, right? For example, I was at a bar, friend's bar, this past weekend, and they were hosting the Super Bowl for me for the Eagles because I was like, it's personal and they're friends of ours, and it was really great. But somebody came up to me and they're like, "You Philly fans, you suck." And my response to them was, I was like, "I'm from Philly. We don't care."
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going to make a decision to get into anything as a woman, right? You already you already made a decision. You already made the first step. Making the decision is the first step. Now, working through the things that you're going to run into. There's going to be doors. There's going to be walls. There's going to be interference. People are going to run interference. But if you are standing true behind your passion and what you believe in, and you bring with you information and knowledge, someone at some point is going to listen to you and they're going to hear you and they're going to take you under their wing, or they're going to bring you in as a partner, or they're going to bring you in as an employee, and they're going to give you that chance. And so just putting your foot out there and saying, I want to do this is the first step. Um, Community. You always hear me say this word. Find your community, find your people.
Mhm.
And sometimes you're going to run into your community where you think they're your people, but they might just be the stepping stone to get to your people. And you have to understand that that's okay. Um, Everything and everybody serves a purpose, but is it going to be forever? We don't know, right? And some things play out to get us to the next step. Some things play out for a longer period of time to get us to the next step on that. Some things are with us forever. And so, um, partnerships, mentorships are huge. Find someone who speaks to your soul but doesn't agree with you all the time. Get someone who argues with you. Um, it's good to have the argument because it allows you to stand your ground. Having that, it's like a piece de resistance, right? It's like you get in there and you're like, I love my husband for the fact that he never says yes to me. He always says no. I'm always arguing with him, but but it's a good argument because it's not something that I'm not already used to, but I can go in and I go, okay, no, this is why I'm saying this should happen or why we should do this or let's think about this from this perspective.
Right.
And the biggest thing that I can say in everything, in anything you do, people are going to assume you're not smart or assume that you're too loud, you're too obnoxious, you're rude, you might be in their face. So that's okay. That if that's how, gravity kind of, you're going to be on the ground. It's going to keep you on the ground. And sometimes things that are told to you and they're said to you, you're going to take personal. And rightfully so. You probably should sometimes. But understand, take it with a grain of salt and ask yourself, why did they say that to me? Is it because of my tone? Is it because of what I said? Or is it because of how I said it? What's the worst thing in the world? Don't talk at somebody, talk to somebody, dialogue, discussion.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, and especially in the cannabis space, ask the question. Please ask the questions. Don't assume. Um, the biggest thing is like if somebody says no, come back and say why. Why is it no?
Mhm.
If they have the wherewithal to say no to you on something that you're asking for, ask them why. There's got to be a reason. Understanding their reason will help you understand how you navigate the next question or how you navigate that question with a different person. So, there's so many different ways. And again, that road less traveled, it's not always the easiest road.
Mhm.
I said this earlier today. I was having a conversation with one of our employees, and I said sometimes the road is it's going to take 10 minutes longer to get there, but you're going to have less obstacles. And sometimes you're going to go across a road where it's going to get you there twice as fast, but you're going to get wet. You're going to be in mud. You're going to go through trees. There might even be a couple bears that may want to eat you. Who knows? So understanding that sometimes the time that it takes longer is there for a reason. It's to teach. Um, Me personally, I wake up every morning and I tell myself today's going to be a good day. And I say, I'm going to learn something new today. So those are my two things. I wake up every morning. I'm like, one, I'm glad I woke up. I'm not dead yet. That's a good thing. Nobody to haunt. Um, but I also say that, it is today's going to be a good day. And I am excited to know what I'm going to learn today. That's what I do. So that when I go to bed, I have a dialogue with myself that's the opposite of that. Today was not a good day but tomorrow will be a good day because it's a new one. Or today was a great day, or today was a good day because, and now and whatever I couldn't fix or handle today, I let it go and it'll be there tomorrow, you know? Um, Mental health is really important. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, being able to say, hello, I need to slow down, or hello, I need to breathe for a second. Don't not eat all day and, those things. So take care of yourself from the inside and the out. But this thing right here, always going to be, is going to be your number one fan. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that the purpose you're serving is for the greater good or for the greater good of your purpose. And, and that's my advice. I mean, that's what works for me. It may not work for everybody. Um, and that's really,
Right.
really it for me.
Um, I have faith in our future. I don't care about the current situation. I can only handle what's in my world. And so far, things have been working in a sense where I have so much support and I'm blessed to be around the people I'm working with. Um, it's the young people today need to just really focus on what they truly want to do for themselves, as long as it's sustainable and realistic and goals are met. Um,
And
you know,
don't hurt people. Like, be a good human, right? At the end of the day, be a good goddamn human.
yeah. What what's next for you, in the cannabis industry? What's going to be going on for Proteus for 2025?
So we have MJ Unpacked, obvious for in Atlantic City. I'm really excited about. I get to go back home again. I love being back on the East Coast with my peeps, and meet down the shore and have some fun on the boardwalk. And I get myself some curly fries and
Mhm.
a good cheesesteak, and of course a Philly pretzel. So in April we are at MJ Unpacked. Got Killer Boost Space. We love doing the MJ Unpacked show. And then in June, we're in New York, back on the East Coast again. You see a theme here, right? I like being back on my East side.
Yeah.
So we're going to be with it used to be CWCB Expo, but now they're called Cannabis Means Business. It's CMB.
Yeah, that's
Um,
MB. Yeah,
yeah, CMB. And they're going to be in June in New York City, which I'm really excited for. We had an amazing time and gosh, met so many fantastic people there last year. And it was our first time doing it last year. Wonderful show, wonderful people, and the people who run it are just amazing.
yeah.
And then obviously MJ Unpacked to wrap, or not MJ Unpacked, MJ BizCon in December for my birthday again this year. I don't know if this is a theme that they think is funny, but
Wow.
making me work on my birthday in Vegas. But we'll be in Vegas for MJ Biz. When we think about MJ Biz, we we've noticed the numbers have dropped quite a bit on that side of the thing, and I'm not sure how much longer MJ Biz will be a thing. I'm seeing some slowdown on it, but last year was an interesting year. It was also at the same time as the horse show that they have out there, the rodeo, and then at the same time they were building out the whole new concourse for the convention center. It was like the dumbest thing ever. It was like nowhere to park. People were yelling at each other. There was no friendly happiness there that last year.
Yeah, and
Um,
that was my first MJ Biz ever, and my first time in Las Vegas. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that was
I'm
great.
not a, I love Vegas from a perspective of the businesses and the people there. I'm not a fan of the strip and yeah, I just, I'm
Uh,
not me personally, I'm just not an indulgent person like, like food and gambling and drinking. Like those just have never been my things.
right.
And so I just feel like it's that gluttonous side of it and nothing good comes out of being shit-faced drunk on a street and with
Yeah,
your
really.
butt up in the air. No, there's too many people's phones around nowadays. I am so happy there was no phones in the 80s. I'm just saying.
This generation doesn't know, boy. I told my daughters I have nothing documented. You better watch what you're doing. You better
Hmm.
be doing.
Everything's documented now.
But I know that we're going to be with you on all of those. So we'll be
Yeah.
there. We'll be doing press, and we're also going to be setting up webinars for you.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome. Yeah, no, that's right. We were talking about that.
we're going to set up webinars for you beginning April.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's going to be at least 12 to 14 episodes, so just to get the information out nicely and quickly. So, because people attention span.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? So,
I can dress like a clown. I mean,
no, no, no,
I
no,
can
no,
scare
no,
people. I can make fun of myself. I know.
no. Although then I'd have to dress up too. Um, uh, but
Okay, that'll be the Halloween episode.
yeah,
That's the Halloween webinar.
yeah, right. But we're working on that, everyone, just to let everyone.
I am not coming as a clown. Let's just put that out there. Those things scare the crap out of me.
Oh man, tell me about it. And in April, we'll be hosting a special reception for licensees and that are going to open, and
Hmm.
people that are already open in dispensaries and the sales side. They'll have a lovely reception. Just introduce who Proteus 420 is, and that no sales pitch or anything. We just want you to know what's going on, give you a lot of information
Right.
about what to expect, about compliance, regulations, so on. And of course, the OG Social Network podcast will be there to stream it. and to record and help promote. Dawne, I got to tell you, I really appreciate you. I got to say, I have been very blessed to be with you and Dave. Who Dave is the 6'4" gentle
6'8". He's 6'8".
6'8".
I married me a tall one, tall drink of water.
A gentle giant Viking, gentle giant. He's it's brilliant in technology, dedicated to his business and his employees and his customers, and his wife and family. And I got to tell you, I am looking forward to 2025 with you. We appreciate your sponsorship, and I'm going to just be ready for you. I'm happy.
I'm excited. I really am. And I, I'm so excited about this year because um, there's so many really cool things. I mean, I can't even elaborate on a lot of the stuff because it's not launched yet. It's in beta at the moment, but there's so much growth and so much new potential for our businesses that, there's just nowhere else for them to go but up,
Right,
and it's a good
right.
thing. So yeah,
You're
and,
looking to
and,
go
and from a
international.
heart, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're looking to go international. So,
Yes. Yes, yeah. So we have some feelers. We have a really great partnership in the works right now with one of our longtime customers. They've been with us for 22 years. And that is something I can't wait to share with you guys. I want to tell you now, but I can't.
no, no,
But
no.
we got to keep things, Dawn'll give the
Yeah,
whole enchilada. She'll put everything out there. So
we'll
shut
do
me
that
up.
when it happens. Signed, sealed, delivered. Signed, sealed,
But I'm
delivered.
excited because that opens Peru, Colombia, Spain, Germany, all, yeah, it's a game changer, guys. It's a game changer. And you know
Excellent.
what? The OG social network's going to be there with us. So all the
Right.
way through,
All the way through.
all the way through.
I want to thank you so much, Dawn. Just hold on for a minute and I'll be right with you. Everyone, just want to let you know that this has been a big growth for me over the last year. We have done so much content that you'll be seeing it over the next year. Some old interviews and a lot of new interviews. But we support our community, our history, the people. This is an all-inclusive platform. We really need to get away from this division in our country. But I just want to tell you all that I love you so much. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dawn. And to remember to relax, relate, and release. And we will be back in 2 weeks. I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye. Thank you. Proteus 420 helps your cannabis business thrive with seamless inventory management, real-time sales tracking, and built-in compliance reporting. Stay stocked, stay compliant, and stay ahead. From payments to customer loyalty, every tool you'll need, all in one platform. Proteus 420, powering your success every step of the way. Remember to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can also find us at the OG Social Network Podcast on IG and at the OG Social Network Podcast and LinkedIn. We look forward to seeing you soon. At Green Spectrum's CBD, we're here to inspire and empower, helping you live a happier and healthier life. With high-quality CBD products, we offer a natural path to wellness and relief. Education is key. We're here to share the powerful benefits of cannabinoids with our community. Discover a better way to feel your best with Green Spectrum CBD.